You are now entering the Thick Goddess Energy Morning Show. We in the building. High priestess in the building, didn't let my fears kill me. Transmuted my pain in that cleanse in the rain. Down out, I was working and I conquered my demons. I accepted my purpose and the goddess I became.
I have 4 baby daddies, but this was back when I was down to 2 only, right? So I had only one at the time, but we were going through a thing where, he was doing his thing and I was doing my thing, but we were still together. And it was a weekend or a Thursday, and I was lonely and sad and driving around. And I love to dance and I love reggaeton. So I'm driving around and I'm like, man, I wish I had something to do. And all of a sudden, I passed this club. And this is not a place where there's clubs. This is a random club, close to my house. So I hear the reggaeton music coming out the club. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to park and go in there and dance real quick to make myself feel better by myself.
Right.
So I go in there and I didn't have a drink or anything. I went straight to the stage, like to the front of the stage. And this guy comes out and he's singing reggaeton and he's doing his thing. And I'm dancing in the front of the stage for him, like, oh, he's good. He does a couple of songs. He's about to leave. And I'm like holding on to his pant legs like a groupie, like he's really famous, but he's not. And he finishes his thing. And then I leave. I walked straight back out. Like I was like, okay, I'm satisfied. That was fun. I feel better now. And I left right. I was literally there like 15 minutes and that's it. So then months later, it's like maybe 6 months later, it's my aunt's birthday. And I'm at my sister's house. We're celebrating my aunt's birthday. And a friend of the family comes in with his friend. And his friend, as soon as he's walking in the door, he's like singing reggaeton and, trying to be the life of the party and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, I peeped him, but I'm in a complicated relationship, so I'm not paying him too much attention. And he comes to the kitchen and tries to talk to me. I'm like, yeah, hi. I go to the living room. He goes to the living room, trying to ask me more questions, trying to get to know me. I go to the kitchen. We went back. He kept following me, right? Until I finally gave him my number. I was like, okay, fine. Like, he convinced me, like, when baby daddy's on bullshit anyways, I'll get to talk to him, right? So that happens, and we start talking or whatnot. And I was living on top of a store. Like my first baby daddy, he was into hustling and stuff, and I was trying to get him to stop hustling and have a legal business. So we had like rented a store, and we were living in the apartment on top. And I was doing homework, and I got hungry, so I wanted to go down and get some snacks from the store. And when I came back, that I was gonna go back upstairs to the apartment, the guy that I was talking to that ended up being my second baby dad, his name is Sean. Um, I'm like gonna go back upstairs, and he comes through the front door of the store. And my first baby daddy, Terrell, he's sitting at the register, and Sean tells him, get something down there. I want to see something down there so that Terrell could put his head down. And then Sean went like he was going to do something to him. And I'm frozen because this all happens quick, like within seconds, right? I'm frozen, like with my chips and my drink in the corner. Like I couldn't move, I couldn't talk, I couldn't do anything. And he looks at me and he smiles and he winks. And then he tells him, oh, never mind, I don't want it. And he walks out. And then I went upstairs and I'm like, oh my God, what if I wasn't there at that moment? He would have robbed them or did something, to him or whatnot. So then a couple months later, I'm in school and I was taking a test and my stomach started hurting real bad. Like I never felt this feeling ever before in my life. It was so much pain and weird feeling. So I tell my teacher, I gotta go home. Like I don't feel good. She's like, okay, fine. I'm started to drive and I started feeling a little bit better. So I'm like, well, instead of going home, I'm gonna go see Sean, right? So I'm driving to his house and I call him and I'm pulling up to his house and his sister answers the phone. He's like, okay, I'm gonna give him the phone. While he's getting on the phone, I tell him, I'm in front of your house. Doot, 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 doot. Because I always beep like that. And when I beeped like that, there was a guy on his front porch knocking on the window as soon as I pulled up. And he turned around. You had a black hoodie on. He turned around and it's my baby daddy, Terrell. And I'm driving his truck and he comes down and he jumps in the car and I'm on the phone with Sean and I'm like, oh my God, Terrell's just knocking on your door. He's getting in the car right now. And Sean's like, what was he doing? And then Terrell gets in, he's like, go, 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 go. So I pull off and I turn around the corner and he gets out. He has somebody waiting in the alley, like his friend. So his whole plan was he was knocking on the window to shoot Sean and then run through the gangway and meet his friend in the alley and drive off. So I saved Sean from Terrell, and before I saved Terrell from Sean.
Right.
So I was feeling terrible. I was like, Lord God, I do not want to be the cause of these men killing each other. I don't want that kind of karma. I'm sorry for everything. Like, I don't know what to do. I leave everything in your hands. Please, I need help because I don't want this. I mean, like, I have a pure heart. Like, my first baby daddy was cheating on me. Like we were in that complicated relationship where we just had an understanding and it was what it was. And then I got into an entanglement, like like Will
Right.
Smith's wife said. And it just happened. So I was just there praying like, God help me out of this one because this is all bad and I don't want it to get worse. So Sean ended up getting locked up. He was gone for months, so of course Terrell couldn't get to him. And then uh, Terrell and I got into a real bad argument, and I actually left the house and I went and I moved in with my father. And for 3 days, it was 3 days I had been moved out. And then he came and tried to see me, but I was not trying to do anything with him. On the third night, he called me before I was going into work. And he was like, I miss you and I want to talk things out. I love you. Can I pick you up and take you to Chuck E. Cheese with the baby tomorrow? And I said, you know what? Yeah. I miss you too. I love you too. That sounds good. So I went to work and come to find out 8 minutes after that conversation, he was shot 9 times and killed. And I know the exact time because the police were on the next block and they heard the shots fired and they put it in the report, what time the shots were fired. And I looked at my call log and it was 8 minutes after the last time I talked to him. So I thank God for that, for at least having that opportunity. Excuse me. And that was a whole other thing. Like when I first found out that he had passed and my knees gave out on me and I screamed his name. I was like, Terrell. I was like on a mount, like a little hill, and I felt something. Like I was looking at the sky and screaming, saying, God, Terrell. And I felt something, you know. It was crazy. But yeah, those 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 moments when God is real and you're not alone and things happen for a reason should help us balance life out so that it doesn't, like, we don't drown in our own things, because as we think, that's how we live. And then sometimes it takes those experiences to click and for us to change our lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? That's why I don't really put too much emphasis on religion at all, because I feel it's more a relationship with our creator. and knowing that our creator loves us and wants us to have the desires of our heart, but there's rules to this shit.
Mhm.
There's rules to the game,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's a test, it's a game, however you want to see it, but it's really real, and there's supernatural things that we could tap into, and it's awesome. It's really awesome.
Right. That's why we have to get out of the thing of thinking what's crazy and just allow yourself to experience life, and you see it through those different lenses. Um, I just think there's some phenomenal shit that happens, and I think we overlook it so much because we get caught in the day to day, we get caught in this reality, and so then that's what becomes truth. And then we just get lost in it. We get lost in the hardships, the shit, the trials, the tribulations, all of that stuff. Um,
It
and that's
seems like
what I try not to. I try not to get too caught in it. And when I am, I try to pull myself back out. Like, no, no, let's not do this again. Let's not get into the monotony of the okay, this is this and it's bad and take on the world's problems. I think, we're never all like one person, of course, can't change the whole fucking world. I can do my part though, I
Mhm.
can sit in my lane and touch whoever I touch and do my part and that ripple effect I believe in, and then more people do their part. But I think sometimes we take on the world shit, and that's too much.
I feel like we also drown in a cup of water sometimes. Like
Mhm.
something happens to us, or like I say, like an arrow from the enemy comes to attack us, right? And it could seem like it's a huge thing because it could even be a death in the family, but it could also be a little thing too, like you're having a bad day or whatnot, and you just can't focus on the problem because then you're never gonna get out of it.
Right,
How are you going to get out of it if that's all you're thinking about is what happened? You're
right,
like living in the past. You're not, it's not just letting it go. It's just realizing like, okay, that happened. Now what, even if you think of a miracle, like even if you have to think outside of the box and
right,
think of a miracle, okay, if it's gonna take a miracle, then why don't you pray? Why don't you talk to God about it then? Because it could happen.
right,
You
right,
know, because I many things has happened in my life. That's why nobody could tell me that God isn't real. Nobody could tell me that God doesn't love me. Like nobody could tell me that because
right.
of things that have happened to me, things that I've prayed about. Like I mentioned before, uh, I was on the verge of losing my daughter in a court case because her father told the court that I smoked weed. So they wanted to drug test me, right? And I prayed about it. I was like, God, that I use weed to de-stress. Like my kids are are taken care of. They're fed. They're
Mhm.
clothed. Everything. I don't, you know, mismanage anything. I'm not a well. I don't know if I'm addicted. I might be. I mean, I'm not like I'm not a bad weed pothead. Like I need it for medicinal purposes. That's what my prayer was. Like God, that I use this to help me, and my heart. You know my intentions. I don't know how to do, but it was a miracle what I was
Mhm.
praying for because at that moment it was like my daughter's gonna be taken away from me. I didn't even notice my baby was right there. She snuck in. Say hi.
She's chilling. She's like, "I wanna be on the show." "Good morning."
She can't hear you though because I have the
Oh,
headphones in. I'm talking about my older daughter. So yeah, I was at the point of I didn't know what else to do because at that point I couldn't get clean that fast because they do hair follicle test and that goes back like 6 months, you know. So I was like, what do I do? I wash my hair with a special shampoo that they sell. I was thinking all types of stuff, and I'm like, I'm just gonna pray about it. Sometimes we try to do things on our own and our own understanding,
right.
but sometimes we just have to let go and let God and sit there and have a talk with God and be like, look, you know what's going on. You know my heart. You know my desires. This is what I need. Like, thank you for being good. Thank you for loving me. At the end of the day, I know that let your will be done. That's how I pray. And then by the time my next court date came around, it was legal in Illinois and she couldn't test me no more.
Right. Right. It's like,
You know?
damn. I do believe that I believe that when we're asking for things, right? When we're asking for things, the greater good has to be behind it. Like, who is it good for? Because if it's just self, if it's just like self, where you're just thinking about you in a selfish manner, then I don't think those wishes come true. I think that's when it doesn't come true. But I think when it helps not only you, the baby, and whoever else it's going to assist, I think that's where it's like, yes, you're going to get it. It's going to come through because it's not just and just like you said, your heart was in it. Like, this is not just a selfish need. This is more than that. And I do feel like if we think of it in those terms and not when we're asking stuff, don't be in this selfish mode of I need this for me in this moment, but who else is this going to help when you get it? Who else is going to be blessed when you get this particular thing that you're asking for? And who else does it benefit if you get this very thing that you're asking for? I think people, that's where we always say, get clear on your whys. What's the
I
why
think
behind?
that's why they say there's something special about a woman's prayer, a mother's prayer, a grandmother's prayer, because those prayers come from pure love. You know what I'm saying? The love a mother has for their child. When you're praying for your child, it's all for them. You're putting all good intentions for someone else. So it's
Right,
that same love that you should have when you're praying for the world, or praying for peace, praying for this, that, and the third. It's that same emotional. You come from that same emotional place from your heart. Like, you're really passionate. Like, you really
right,
give a shit about what you're saying. Because sometimes people just pray and it's real superficial or shallow. It's like they're
right,
just praying and that's it. And they're
right,
wondering why they don't have a connection. It's because you're not really connecting your heart. You're just having a regular conversation, which is that's cool. Like, praying is praying, but it's a different kind of prayer when you actually sit there and you're passionate and emotional about it. Like a mother is passionate about their child. It's That's the closest thing that I could think about it.
right. The
To
bond.
compare it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's different with the heart space because I know that all the healing that I went through, especially losing my first daughter, my heart was very closed, very blocked off, very guarded. And a lot of the healing that I've had has opened me back up to where I remember one time I was on one of my meditation lives, and I think it was right in the beginning because I talked about Archangel Metatron as one of the first ones who kind of coaxed me or kind of pushed me to the meditation lives anyway. And I just remember I was doing a live about opening up the heart space and allowing that the energy in, like allowing that love in, and I started crying. I remember I was in tears because of just that love, that pure love energy coming in is crazy. And you only can really, if you've had children, you kind of know what that feels like because you know what the mother's love is. I can't really think of anybody else that I have that tie on, except my twin. My twin is the only other person that I have that same type of bond energy and just that feeling of pure love coming in. It's crazy. It's profound. It's like, whoo, that can take you back. Just allowing yourself to just be open and connect in that way. And that's why, this tattoo was because of that, opening up my heart space and allowing myself to just not only give love, because I'm great at giving love, but to receive it as well. And that was a game changer for me to be able to just to sit back and receive and know that this is the center of connection. And so that I stand behind it now. That's kind of like my thing.
Yeah. Above all else is love, right?
Right. You can't get no greater than love. Um, hey you guys are so quiet today. I think you guys just remember you have all of these little the other part I think is people tend to want fireworks. Everyone wants the big miracles. They want the big miracles, they want the big fireworks. Um but sometimes it's the small stuff that matters too. It's the everyday small movement for you. The those I don't want to say small like it doesn't matter, but just there's these miniature movements, to be grateful for, to look at, to see, to know that you have people around you, energies around you working for you. You know, I always say, no matter, I'm a worry wart. I've always been a worry wart in my life. That's something that it just in my energy. It's something that I can't really get rid of. It's something I work very hard to work it out, but I tend to be a worry wart, and especially when I don't know what's coming. And in this path, spirit is just like, trust us, trust us.
That surprises me that you're a wart. You don't come across as one.
You
Like,
would never, you could never tell because I
mm-mm.
carry my energy very well. You could
Mhm.
never, like, I was always the person, but that's something that I built over years of having a very harsh home and then going to school and acting like everything's okay.
Mm, mhm,
Or, no matter what was going on at home, going to work and shutting my emotions off so that I can get through my day and still smile and be bubbly for everyone else, even
mm,
though my life was shitty as fuck, or because I'm depressed as fuck. So that was something that I learned how to do, where I learned how you could never tell. I had poker face. You could never tell
mm.
what was going on within me. People were like, "You look so calm," and I'm like, "No." Inside is like, ah. Inside is like going super fucking crazy, but I look very reserved and very calm. But that's because I learned, I was a self soother as a
Mhm,
baby. So I didn't have that nurturing aspect from my mom. I self-soothe. So that's
mhm,
something that I've known how to do like my whole life, is just calm myself down. And in those
mm,
moments, even when I was a kid, even though, you're told, "Oh, those are just monsters, go back to bed," and you can feel the breath near your bed, and I would have my blanket over my head and I would just be like, "As long as I don't see you, you can't do anything." That was my
mhm.
thing. As long as I can see you. So I learned how to do that, just take care of myself and be that in that moment. I'm strong. But that kind of bit me in the ass though,
How?
like being too strong, because then you build up like, I'm so strong I can conquer the world and never ask for help. And so now I'm getting to
Mm,
where I ask for help if I need it. I'm not, too proud to just be like, you know what? I need assistance in this moment. I'm not doing well. Let me just fucking take a day off. I'm tired as fuck, Like now I'm getting to where I'm actually like allowing myself to just be and not feel like I just have to show up 7 days a week, 365 motherfucking days. But spirit does, I like to know things, and I that's my problem, and spirit wants me to trust, and that's another problem. And so it's crazy. I'm going to tell you something. The other this week, I've been telling everybody I've been going through this purge, which has been a crazy. I've gotten a lot of downloads, which have been crazy in itself. Um, but one of the parts of the downloads was, I go through these lucid dreaming states, and we've talked about this before on some of the other shows. I go through these lucid dreaming states, and so I'm kind of in and out. I can tell I'm in my room, but not there. And there was this one part that you were in the space. Uh huh.
who?
You, Raquel.
I knew it. I knew it. See? Okay, go ahead. I'm listening.
So, because this last purge was the last final of like spirit, like just trust, stop fucking asking, stop not believing it's coming, whatever it is. I fucking don't know what it is, to tell you
But
the
it's
truth,
good.
but whatever it is, it's good. Exactly. And they're just like, trust, right? And I'm telling you, that's been a struggle for me, because I'll trust because I could see. And then when I can't see no further, then I'm going crazy. Like, wait a minute, you want me to keep trusting, but you're not showing me. Like, wait, you got to give me something. And so that's one of my biggest problems. And then I'll go through a purge, and it's like, okay, we're gonna sit you on your ass so you can fucking see, right? So
Hmm.
anywho, I was seeing you, and the message was telling me that you're okay, right? And they were like, why she's okay. And I'm like, okay, why is she okay? And they were like, because she believes. She truly, truly believes. And I can see that with you talking, that that's like, no matter what, the belief is there. Not to say that life isn't going to come in or something can't happen with life, but at the end of the day, you still have the full belief of, I'm going to be okay, regardless.
Hmm.
And even though I've been shown this a million times in my life, for some reason, I get to that point where I'm just like, if I can't see it, I start to get in panic mode. And I don't like that. That's something that stems from my childhood, though, because in my childhood we went from place to place. I would come from school and our shit would be outside, like eviction day. I would be rummaging through our stuff trying to get whatever I could. So it stems from my childhood, and it's something that I'm still working through. And that made me realize that here goes another childhood shit I'm still kind of dealing with, that I really thought I was over and I thought I was done with, but now it's still been affecting me this past year. And every so often it'll come up again for me. And I'm like, fuck, I thought I was over this. I thought I was done. But
That happens to me too around the topic of rejection for some
mm,
reason.
yeah,
And it comes from my childhood, like being rejected by my older siblings, then being rejected by classmates, then being rejected in
right,
relationships.
right,
And,
right,
I deal with that. I've struggled with that a lot. And I take it as life lessons, kind
yeah,
of. And I enjoy the fact that life has its way of teaching us something new every day and even repeating lessons that we haven't learned, you
right,
know? And there's lots of opportunities during the day to learn something or to revisit and be enlightened on another level around a certain topic like rejection, because with that I've learned that you have to just accept it and know that everyone doesn't think the same as you.
right,
We're all unique. We
right,
all got our own fingerprints and we think in our own way and we've had our own life experiences. So
right,
no one is going to think exactly like me. No one's going to think exactly like you. So,
right,
and then the reason that they're rejecting, me or the situation is rejecting is because it's not meant to be. You
right.
know, God is going to open doors and God is going to close doors. And sometimes we want something to happen and maybe it'll
She'll be back in in a couple minutes. Good morning, Lorianne. Yeah, Heather, I'm like that. You're on mute. You're on mute.
Okay, sorry about that. It's always my
You got to put your phone on do not disturb. The rejection is been a part of my path too. Feeling like I don't belong, or feeling like um
I'm so sorry. God is opening and closing doors right now. It's always my older sister always calls me. I had to yell at her. I'm like, "Oh shit, I'm not alive." What was I saying? Jesus Christ.
just the rejection of it. I think a
Yeah,
lot of
it
people, I think a lot of people's lessons in this life, have to do with rejection, because even I have dealt with that on some level in this life. And one of the things is it'll always keep coming up through other people until you finally work through it completely, and you'll be like, shit, I thought I was done with this. So the trick is not to get mad at yourself because you're not done and over with whatever the lesson is, and just, okay, let me work on this a little bit more. Let me not beat myself up too much because I'm not, done with this particular lesson that I thought I was, right?
yeah, and it could be hard. It could be
Because
tough because
even
you
not
could
getting a
get
job, Like getting a not a certain job and you feel rejected. Like, wait a minute, why am I not qualified for this job, right?
And then
Why
you
did I
get all in your feelings and in your emotions, like, and you feel depressed, like
yeah,
really, really, really
I
bad.
can
And
tell you the year in 2019, from 20 a little bit in 2018, 2019, I kept looking for a second job. Now, mind you, I was a certified medical assistant, almost 11 years. Well, about there, I think I was just hitting my 10th year. So it's not like I'm not qualified, right? So it was like I could not find a second job nowhere. It was just like no fucking job. Nobody was calling me back. And that to me was just like, I need this second job. Like I was living paycheck to paycheck. I was getting loans. I was, just at the point of just like financially burdened, credit tanking, and it was just getting to the point where I was getting very depressed about it. Like, what the fuck? And now at the same time, in like the summer of 2019, I went into this whole like I was about to lose my fucking mind, going to spiritual awakening kind of thing, right? And I still couldn't understand why I could not find another job. But then I get pushed into tarot, I get pushed into my path. And so this
mm,
opens up. At the same time, I'm still looking for another job because again, my bills still need to get paid and it seems like I was doing enough to where it was keeping me okay, but I hadn't caught up. And literally, when I didn't, the first like 3 months of tarot, I didn't make no money. Everything was free. All of it was free. I didn't make any money with tarot. It wasn't until about October. I think the end of October was around Halloween because I was dressed ready to go to a Halloween party and I had my first client. Had my first client, I think she paid like $15 for a fucking reading. And I was just so excited to do this reading. And she decided to pay me. I was just going to do it. And she was just like, no, I'm going to send you money. And I was just like, oh shit, like I'm getting paid. After that, I started doing lives for donation because before that I was doing free lives. And then in November, I had made like this extra 500. And it was like, at the end of November. So I didn't really understand that until December came. So December came, I was like, oh shit, I made an extra 500. I would have been at a second job away from my home, doing something else. All right. Then in December, it was like an extra 1,000. And then it was like, oh, wait a minute. Like, what the fuck? And so I remember in November, I remember asking Spirit, show me how to do this full time and you got me. Show me how to do this full time and I will be all in. And then literally in January I had made exactly what I was making or taking home, should I say, because after taxes, I was taking home and I had made that in January and it was just like it blew my fucking mind. Like within a couple months, by February I actually was all caught up in all my bills. Like I
mm,
had caught up on all my bills, everything. I was back to okay, and now it was like, okay, what do I do from here? And that was a little bit before COVID came in. So I was getting all these downloads of what to do. And that's when my daughter was doing my candles. I started my t-shirts. I had these love and light boxes. I was just doing all of these different ideas. And Spirit was like, create, create, create. Right. And so when March came, I was gonna quit in March. I was like, you know what, I'm ready. Because everyone kept saying, why don't you quit? Like, why don't you like my daughter's like, Mom, just quit. And I'm like, oh no, I can't. I've been working since I'm 14. I can't just quit my job and work for myself. Like, who fucking does that, right? But I was making way more. I was making a couple grand more than what I made just going to work every day. And so I was just like, all right, I'm gonna do it. I did my 30-day notice and I went, it's March. I went and I have it on my desk. And in the morning meeting, our manager, she's like, all right, so COVID is, coming in and they're talking about COVID. And she's like, they're going to be shutting down clinics and I'm going to get as many of you working home that I possibly can. And so they literally had closed the schedule. And I was a lab MA at the time. So they closed the schedule. It was just like, we're basically just doing back end stuff. And I pretty much knew how to do everything in the office, referrals, all kind of stuff. So we had work to do. But within 2 weeks, I was one of the people who ended up going home and working from home. I got set up at home. And so it was just like, all right, I guess it's not time to put in this 30-day notice. So I was just like, all right, I'm not going to put in this 30-day notice. And I am going to go and just be at home. So when I was at home, I was able to work with my daughter on a lot of the products because I was right here at home. She could ask me questions, and while I'm working, I could sit outside and fucking work. It was just I was multitasking. And so
Mm-hmm.
then finally in May was when we were being pulled back into the office, and we were having to be full gowned, and we would have to sit at the door, and anyone coming in, we'd have to, like, get their temperature, write down if they had any symptoms of COVID, rush them in. We had this whole procedure, and I just was like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this no more. I don't want to be in this life anymore with this shit
Mm-hmm.
and putting myself in this position. And even where, like, when someone did have potential COVID, we would have to gown all the way up. So literally putting on masks and all this stuff and trying to draw blood. And I'm like, I can barely even fucking see out of this mask. And then trying to draw blood on somebody. I was just like, I don't want to do this no more. Right. So I went ahead and put my termination letter in. And I had talked to, my manager, and she loved everything I was telling her that I was doing and where I was going. And she just, like, she could see it. She could just see it, because I was just like, my life is going somewhere else where I really, not that I'm not helping nobody, but I was just like, I really want to help people. I really want to do something where I'm truly helping change lives in my life. And I was just like, I just can't come to work anymore. That's not going to work for me anymore. And so, boom, June, I was retired, June of 2020, and I
Wow.
haven't gone to work back. But there's these moments where even though spirit's like, you're good, I'm not broke. You're good. Everything gets paid. But I tell you, my childhood shit will come up, and I will start to panic. Like, what's going on? What's this shift? What are we doing? Why aren't you guys telling me? And I just have to get back to that place of just keep believing. So this past purge was that, to tell me to finally stop fearing, stop thinking, something's bad. It's nothing bad. Every change, every slowdown is for my own good. I actually got this uh guidance card that popped out, and it was like, even when you're ready, other people or other things that need to align with me aren't ready. So you just have to sit still and be okay. And that's
Mm.
something that I don't like.
Mm. But
I'm
there's
always
beauty in that. There's beauty in
right,
that because you know that it's for a greater good.
right,
So you shouldn't worry because you should be expecting good things. So
right,
instead of being worried, you should be excited.
right, right, right.
You
That's
should be
that's the whole
excited.
point.
Because if you look back on your history and your testimony, it's like, okay, I didn't like this job, so everything worked out, so I could leave this job, and now I'm making probably more money than I was, making at the job. I was just watching a YouTube video yesterday about a dentist who started a YouTube channel and started putting videos on Skillshare. He
Mm,
started teaching stuff, and
right,
he's making more money in a month than
right,
he would when he's 65 as a dentist.
right,
It's
right,
like, and he still couldn't uh disconnect from being a dentist though. Like something in him was like, no, I need that, the prestige of it. I
right,
need, so I won't have like the imposter syndrome. I need that title just in case YouTube crashes ever and we have to go back
right,
to normal life and I have to be a
right,
dentist. But all those are like, when you look at the numbers, like life,
right,
it has numbers, it has a lot to
right,
do with life. When you look at the numbers, it's like, bro, you're gonna be a dentist, and at the age of 50, 60, then you're gonna have $120,000 a year when you're making that in 3 to 6 months
right, right,
online
right.
now, like, and you're in your
It's hard.
30s.
It's hard. You know what? One of the things that I struggle with is the false sense of security, because that's what it is. We all have a very false sense of security. Your bills getting paid, yes, that's one thing, but at any day this could be ripped from us. And in mine, that's why it's so embedded in me and hard to work through it. It's because of how many times it's happened in my childhood. It's not once or twice. This is like all the time, all the time. We went to new schools like every year, every couple of months, we were at a fucking new school. So it's hard to get that, it's hard to just be like, this is a fucking facade anyway, right? Because I need some type of sense of stability where I know that I'm good, even though at the end of the day, I know it's a facade because at any day, this shit can be taken from us. None of this is guaranteed. Even at a job, that was a sense of false reality because that could be taken at any time. Your job is not 100%. You're going to keep this job forever and ever. That's bullshit. But we think it. We think it. Oh, I'm employed. I get a paycheck. I'm good. But that's also false. And so these are things that I've had to work through the last couple of years, even to like for me to leave my job. I had been at the same company for damn near 11 years. That was huge because that was like this security blanket for me to like not leave. So I do understand how hard it is to get through those kind of childhood things. It's not easy to break because you want to have some type of security. And that's something that I have struggled with my whole life is having that security. My parents didn't offer that. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So, and then when I got older, a man didn't offer that.
Mm.
Didn't happen. So I've been the person in my life to hold it down constantly, no matter what's falling apart, no matter what's happening. Now spirit is telling me to just let go. You know what I mean? Just let go. Let us handle some stuff
Yeah,
because that's
because the
hard.
reality of it, like you were saying, no matter how much we work hard for a title or for our health
Right.
or, how good of a person or how bad of a person, it's up to God. We all have a birth date and a death date,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's up to God, so the most important thing in life is to have a relationship with God, because
You do.
it doesn't matter if you're the president or if you're a doctor or anything. It all comes down with your relationship with your creator,
Right.
you
Right.
know
You
and
do. I
I want to
believe that.
ask you more about your purge and this dream you had of me,
Right. So,
right?
I don't really remember because I'm in my room, but not in my room. And I just remember seeing you, and I can't remember where you were. I wasn't in the same place as you, if that makes sense, because my lucid dreaming is like I'm in two different places at the same time. And I just remember like the message that I got from it was basically telling me like that's what you need. You need to have that full surrender and acceptance and belief. And I'm like, that's where I do believe because I wouldn't be here if I didn't believe, but I do struggle to fully surrender into it, to truly know that all is
That
well.
God loves you.
And it's like, I
God.
know I'm loved, right? I know I'm loved. I know that they're here. They've shown me way too many times. But, unfortunately, because of the shit that I've had happen in my life, it is hard to fully break free from some of those childhood issues. You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
that's what I am still like striving to break. I'm striving to work through it. I'm striving to get to that point to where I can just truly be free of any worry about where I'm going or what's going to happen at the end of the day. Which is
if you could if you could think about it, like you got through so much, like when you say you went through those things when you were younger and being scared and under the blanket, and those moments of being terrified and not knowing what's going to happen next, to fast forward all the way to now, where you're like, everything happened for a reason, to show me, to teach me so that I could learn. you
right.
know Sometimes
There's
I didn't know what I was learning,
yeah,
but and then you look at the present and you're like, everything's okay. And then you look a little bit in the future and you're like, I know everything's gonna be okay. So
right,
it's kind of just like, it's kind of like the dentist, and
right,
not
right,
wanting to let go, when over here it's gonna be okay,
right.
and you can see all the numbers adding up. I'm sorry, you guys hear the puppies in the background. Can you guys bring me a puppy so I can show them, please? I'm so sorry, they're
You
super
can hear
loud.
them. They're like,
Yeah, I have a litter of 7 girls. Bring me that one.
oh wow,
Seven
7
girls
girls.
and
You ready
two
to come
boys.
see them?
Give
No,
me.
Aries.
Oh my goodness, a girl. Look at this little. Okay,
Oh, It's so cute.
They got white necks.
Aw.
Yeah, they're starting to walk around. They're 3 weeks now. They got their eyes open. So
Oh.
hopefully, if I have enough energy today, I'll take them their first bath. On my YouTube channel, I have a video that I baptize the puppies so that they can have a good life.
Oh.
Yeah.
Look at cuteness. Cuteness in the
This
morning.
is an accidental litter. Like literally, my boy dog is on a waiting list to get neutered or spayed, whatever you call it, and it's a 4 month waiting list
Oh wow.
because it's
Wow.
only $65. Besides that, I have to pay like $400 or $500, something like that.
Oh, too
Yeah, here.
too cute. Yeah. That's why I say I tell everyone I'm definitely not perfect by no means necessary. There's things why you turn my light off? Messing up my lighting in here. There's
You
things
look
that
tanned.
I look tan now. That's my lighting. I'm sorry. Sorry. She said black lab. She's asking, is that a black lab?
No, they're American bullies. They're standard American bullies. Very smart. I love dogs. I totally get why they say dogs are man's best friend.
They're cute. We have some that get on my nerves here. They're cute when they're little. You're knocking Aries up.
Oh yeah, that's right. We both have dogs named Aries, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We want to
We
breed. We want to breed Aries, but I've been waiting on her to get a little older before we breed her. She'll be 2 in April. She'll finally be 2 in April. I
mm,
think she's almost ready, though. I think she's almost ready.
yeah, I
Um.
get a lot of backlash with that. And I just love dogs. And I think for a lot of people, not even if they're depressed, but just seeing uh my friend, he's in a wheelchair and he has
Mhm.
a service dog that could go get him things from the refrigerator, find his phone, find his keys, you
Right.
know. So dogs are awesome. And for some
All
reason,
they need
God
is
has,
the love and time.
huh?
All they need is that love and time. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. And they protect you. And then if you're sick, they could kind of sense it and they'll be around you. They have like a kind of healing vibe about them too.
Yeah. Aries, she can smell spirits. So,
This one is cute.
aw,
Okay, this is the
that
one I
one
think
is
I'm going to
cute.
keep. Okay.
Aw. Heather said, "How much will you charge for one?"
I'm selling these for 350, which they should be way more. But
They are
since they
so
don't have their
cute.
papers, yeah, I'm gonna keep
Oh,
this one though. I haven't made a name for her. I'm gonna
aw.
keep her.
Mommy, I
Yeah,
already
she's
know
cute.
a name.
You know a name?
Pocket.
Pocket.
Pocket. Okay.
It's a cute
Okay.
name. Yeah, I
Um.
have
I got a lot of names.
I tried to be a breeder. It was like a thought, right? And I was
Right.
like, oh, dogs are cool. You know, dogs have been good for me and dogs help other people. So, okay, you could tell me later. So and then my sister breeds dogs. So I was like, okay, I'll get into it. But I changed my mind fast. Like I don't know. It was just, sometimes when you do business deals and they're not well planned out and then they get confusing and the last litter she had, it was a business deal with somebody else. The guy that was in the wheelchair. It
Right.
wasn't two of my dogs. So it just went bad because I got the paperwork. Like the litter came out and I got them all registered with ABKC,
Right.
and they were supposed to go for $1,000 each. And I literally just sold maybe two or three. The most expensive one was 750, and then I still have two more. So and then I gotta find good homes for them because people have wanted them, but I get a bad vibe from them, and I'm like, nah, I'd rather not. So I'm waiting to like find someone that
Right.
I get a good vibe from. So it's hard, but
Right.
dogs are special,
Right.
definitely.
I really think do not get a dog unless you're ready though. They're like children. You know, they not only cost money and they do deserve the same type of treatment and care that you give your kids in your home. And you know, I know a lot of people put their dogs outside and it's like, well, it's just a pet, but no, they require the same attention and love that you do for your family. So, you know, I know a
Yeah.
lot of people, it's like, oh, a great gift, but I be ready for the animal. It's like Aries, I got her from a pet store and I've spent way over 6,000 for her just with everything, medical bills and everything. And she was very sick in the beginning, even though the pet store covered her doctor appointments in the first year because of it, because of if they're sick from the pet store, they'll cover it. But it was just the fact of having to care for her being sick, throwing up, and her stomach has never really been the same. So
Hmm.
she has a very, very kind of like she goes through little moments of throwing up or, you know, eating her shit, which was one we had to break her from the puppy store because in the puppy store that's what they did. They sit the cage, she'll eat her shit, you know.
Hmm.
And that's something we'd have to like really work with her. And she still from time to time is just like, no, we're gonna like beat you, child.
Mm-hmm.
So you know, she's had a lot of stuff. If we didn't like if I didn't get her from the puppy store, I would have had to out of pocket all of that stuff for her being sick though. So I know you say don't buy from a store, but they covered her medical expenses, which that
Mm.
would have been thousands of dollars for the antibiotics that she needed and all of that stuff that she needed for months. Like she was on treatments for months. So I wouldn't say not buy from a store. I would just make sure that whatever store that you get it from, make sure that they have the agreement to cover whatever is going on with that dog within a certain time frame. You know what I mean? Like if
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna buy it, because other than that, then you're out of pocketing a lot of money. Because now she doesn't have the same coverage. It's been over a year, and now I have to pay for her visits. And if she gets sick, I have to pay for it. And she's cost me a couple $100 at the doctor visit, you know, in one wop.
Yeah, pets are expensive. We're here to take care of animals in general, and animals are. I'm sorry, there's so much going on over here. It's hard to keep
Focus.
focused. But
Um, she said she's got 3 dogs, 5 cats, and a lizard. Okay, Debbie, that's a lot. That's a lot.
yeah,
And
my
cats are a whole different type of animal to have. Cats are a whole different type. It's crazy. I just had this dream about a little kitty that I was trying to save from some tigers. It was
hmm.
weird. It was a weird dream.
Animals are special, and their connection to humans are special too. Because if you treat an animal or a pet, your dog, wrong, I think you get karma. Like,
I think so too.
yeah, like when I see that, like if I forget to feed my dog or I'm not on it like I'm supposed to, like things happen that I'm just like, and then once I start loving my animals, my kids, my family more, good
Right,
better things happen.
right,
And
right.
when you neglect people or animals, then you get
Oh,
choices and consequences. Do good things will happen.
well, and that's what goes down to the intention of why you're getting that animal. You know, if it's a selfish intention, you're not going to take care of it in the same way. But if you do it with your heart space, then yeah. I got her from a pet store because I was looking for a specific breed. I actually wanted a husky. She's an Alaskan Malamute, and I actually wanted a husky. And then I came across her, and then it was just when they brought her in the little room to kind of meet with her, I just knew like she was my dog, you know. And the good thing is I got to do payments on her, and I think that was the biggest thing because you know Alaskan Malamutes are pretty fucking expensive, and so are Huskies, like just outright. That's a couple grand, and so I was able to do payments on her, which was good for me to do payments on her, you know. But she was a choice, not a, you know, not going back from that. It's a choice. She's and she's very protective. Ever since I got her, she was I know she was meant not for me, At the time, we thought it was for me because my daughter's like, I don't want you to be alone, when we leave and this, that, and the third. But she actually was so connected to my grandsons, like
Mm.
so protective of my grandsons. Like even my daughter rescued another little dog. He's like a chihuahua. And when he gets too aggressive with the boys, because they're always fighting with him, like play fighting, when he gets too aggressive or he sounds aggressive, she will jump up no matter where he's at, and she will like grab him and tell him like back up off my kids. She's very connected with them. And so even when she was little, she would go sleep by the room with them. And I was like, she's not my dog. She's not for me. And my daughter would be like, no, I didn't want a dog. I'm like, yeah, you did. And so she's for the kiddos because she's very protective with them. She's very connected with them. That's like her little pack,
That's cute.
her little wolf pack. All right, you guys, we're gonna end this live. I know we're way over an hour. We'll definitely have Raquel come back and vibe with us again. I told her she can come and co-host with me anytime. And then
I love being here. I love your platform and I appreciate everything you're doing. I have a real strong connection with you from the toast and the tea this morning
I know.
to like I knew that you were gonna ask me to be on the show like a couple days before you asked me. Like, I heard
Right,
the voice. Like
right,
she's
right.
gonna and then I was like, well, it would be cool if I could keep on coming on the show. And they're like, okay, just hold on. She's gonna talk to you about that. I'm like, so, and then when you said the toast and the tea this morning, I have toast in my hand. I'm like, this is
Right. She literally sends me a picture because I sent her a message like I'm making toast and tea like right before we get on, and she literally sends me a picture of her toast, and I sent her a picture of my avocado toast back because I was like making
awesome.
avocado toast back. So we've definitely had a connection. I always say, spirit does not bring anyone into my life for no reason. It's just what are the reasons? What are the reasons? When I meet people, because some of it is lessons on, life lessons. but I do feel like spirit definitely brought you in my life for a reason. That is definitely it. And when I saw like that lucid just dreaming experience, I was just like, yeah, I was just like, all right, I know that that's where I need to be, because a lot of time, like I said, what I do, I soak in a lot of people's stuff. And you guys got to remember the appointments that I do, not everybody is happy and bubbly. A lot of people are scared and fearful and
It
sad
rubs off.
and hurt. And so I soak in all that. And then what happens is then I try and take it on, and I don't realize it sometimes. You don't realize it that you're taking on other people's shit. And so that's where the cleansing comes into it. That's where the constant cleansing, releasing, letting go, making sure it's really your emotions, not somebody else's shit. And that just comes with practice. I'm not perfect at it. Definitely not perfect.
So for me, I do feel that rubbing off energy, especially when people or the kids, sometimes they're in a negative energy and it rubs off.
Right.
But for me, my belief or what helps me is I imagine the blood of Jesus, because it's supposed to protect you,
Right. Right. Right.
so nothing could come against you. So,
Right.
and then the 90-second rule, like you feel that and then you have to filter it out and let it go, because that the bigger picture,
Right.
right? And it's hard to do because when you're interacting with people and they're
Right.
all like, ooh, 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 and you got to be like in defense mode, like, no, 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 what I'm saying? And then calm yourself down, and
Right.
be like, Husa.
Sometimes you don't
Mommy,
even
is that
notice
the
it.
cup?
Sometimes you don't notice it that you're even transferring somebody's emotions. Someone in a session with me feels way better at the I don't immediately feel it, in that moment. But then like days later, weeks later, it just adds up. And so that just made me realize I have to do better on my end. And that's what it boils down to. It boils down to you're practicing what you're doing and making sure you're not cutting corners, because I do cut corners sometimes when I'm too busy and I'm just go, go, go. And I'm doing client after client. And so that's where I have to get better, and it's being realistic with yourself and being honest with yourself. What are the things that that you need to do, right? The ways that you're being lazy, or you're not doing all your spiritual practices that you normally do, right? You're not doing that. And so for me, what I do, I can't just do one practice a day. You can't just do one thing.
That's not going to work. Not with the way that I connect energetically with others. And so it was a big eye opener for me this past week, to spirit to kind of have me down and really looking at some things. Um, and just kind of sleeping. I slept a lot this past week that I've having, I don't know even how long, that I've slept, and just being in those moments of that dream state to kind of see and open up my eyes to a lot of things, because I am that healer. I am that person who helps and assists. But I do have to get better on my end, to do my practices and not let so much transfer onto me to where I keep it in and hold on to it, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Right.
it was like you needed to recharge for the new year.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like a lot of different things. We're only on the 6th, right? Today is the 6th.
Yeah, yeah, right,
Yeah, I felt a lot of things these last 5, 6 days. It was like a lot of different emotions, a lot of different things, but just like filtering through, getting rest, recharge,
right,
and then on to the next one. Like I
right,
almost felt like I put an armor on and I'm like going
right,
into battle, you know?
right.
And I
Because
got
I'm
my
just
dogs
like,
with me.
oh,
Yeah, this brown
because
one.
even though, some of you guys know, some of you guys don't know, on the 4th is my first daughter's birthday, who I lost when I was 15. And then on the 5th is my dad's
Oh,
birthday, who has now been
oh.
14, almost 14 years that my dad's been gone. So normally this week I would be very depressed. I don't get depressed anymore because I've worked through that. I don't grieve for them anymore. I kind of celebrate them. So I didn't do anything big for them or do anything crazy. I might do something later on this month for both of them, because their death and their birthdays are kind of back to back. Like I said, it's the 4th and the 5th, and then their death days are the 22nd and the 26th. So they kind of like, were born and died both in the month of January.
Oh.
Yeah.
So
So
January is rough.
it used to be a really rough time for me, and I used to get very sad and very depressed. And even though there's still some things like with my first daughter that I haven't fully released yet, okay, I am a lot better with it, where I don't need all of the answers that I used to seek behind it. There's a lot of things to my gut I know to be true, and I just don't need to keep looking into it or trying to find out any more than what I already know to be true. It's just one of those things of, now it's been working through the acceptance. It happened. It's been 27 years now. 27 years. Shit, has it been 27 years? I got to do the math real quick, y'all. Hold
Do
up.
you know or have a feeling that you're gonna see her again or see your father again?
27 years. So the funny thing, and I know I'm trying to wrap up this thing. The funny thing about my first daughter is that I already have her in my life. I have this, and I'll have to do it on another live. It's the story of how, me and the daughter's father is the same daughter's father from the first daughter and the second one, but me and him broke up after the first one, because literally, we she died on the 22nd. The 22nd is actually his birthday. She died on his birthday. Um,
Mm.
so it actually took us a couple weeks to get the money to bury her. So we didn't actually bury her until the beginning of February. He had a son that was born February 14th. So what, a month after my daughter, that I didn't know about.
Mm.
And he actually was going around behind my back showing this child off to other people, and I didn't know. And then in March, he decided to come clean and tell me about it in March. And
Mm.
at that point in March, I was having breakdowns. Like, I used to get WIC at that time. And I remember going to like the WIC store like a day early because my mind wasn't there, and them telling me like, you're too early. And I remember just breaking down in the fucking store, like, why am I even getting this fucking WIC shit anymore? And I could not deal. And it was a whole process. And I'll kind of have to talk about that another time. But
Mhm.
me and him ended up breaking up. That was kind of the end of us. There was no kind of coming back from that. The death of our daughter, this child, and the child happened to be from a girl that I went to school with. There was like a best friend of mine. Me and her were
Mm.
best friends for years, right? The one he used to say, that's not really your friend. And I used to be like, what are you talking about? But he never wanted to tell me that, yeah, because I fucked her.
Mm.
Don't tell me that part, right? Anywho, so that was the end of us. We literally didn't talk. Like if we saw each other, it was like we didn't know each other. That's how bad it was. It was literally like we were never going to talk again. And then literally I had moved away from the city I was living in. I was living in San Bernardino and I moved away. I was in LA at the time because I wanted to get away. I was done. I was tired. I was done. I wanted something new. I
Mhm.
was in a whole new city trying to live my life. And then I get a call, my brother's been shot. And I'm like, what the fuck? My brother's been shot. So I go back, I go back to the city and I go to the hospital and my brother's been shot. Bullet goes straight through his shoulder, doesn't hit any major artery, no major tendons, doesn't hit any bones. I mean, clear through his shoulder. All he is getting packing, right? And it's like, wow, like you get shot, but it's a clear shot, nothing major going on, no major surgery. All they have to do is pack you and you're good.
Mhm.
Blessing, right? And then they're like, yeah, and he got shot. Your baby daddy, your ex baby daddy got shot with him. And it's like, so I'm like, really? And they're like, yeah, he's like in the he's like in another room. Come to find out, and I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna be an ass. I'm gonna go say hi and tell him, luckily you have your life, whatever. And I go, and the minute I see him, I start crying because it's that, like we ended on such a bad ending. We didn't end like, okay, we're good friends, we're ending this really. We ended on enemies. So to see him near death kind of experience, I did start crying and I was like, damn, I do have this love for you. Not in love, but have this love for you. And I was just like, damn, it sucks to see you like this. He gets shot in his ass, of all places, got shot in his ass.
For being an ass, you get shot in the ass. Karma.
He got shot in the ass. No, him and my brother, no major, although the bullet does stay in, they can't get the bullet out of his ass. Yeah, that bullet does stay in.
Go
So
sit
that
down.
is what sparked me and him coming back together. And then I did end up having my daughter. So I do feel like the universe, and there's a whole nother backstory of where I was living, the home I was living. It was a home that my mom and them did seances. There was something very dark in that home. I don't
Mm.
feel like it was really time for my daughter, my first daughter, to go. And to the core of me, it's always stuck with me, even before I came into this spiritual path. And then just the way that things happen between me and my daughter's father, it's like they gave me a piece of her back. Um,
Mm.
and so we don't really understand the spirit and how multidimensional we can be, right? And
Mm.
so they did give that. If you see her picture and my first daughter's picture, they look exactly like twins. You can't tell the babies
Oh,
apart. They look exactly
that's
alike.
awesome.
And so I know that I was given something that some parents and people are not given. And so that is something that I actually had to learn and uncover, because no one has actually ever tapped into her energy. Nobody's ever felt her around. Nobody's ever picked up on her. And I purposely would not talk about it. So that, especially coming into the spiritual world, I wanted to see who would pick up on her, who would really say this. Because to me, I knew that my daughter that I have now, that was kind of like giving her back to me in so many
Mm.
ways. And so I did get her back, just a little bit different, just a little bit different. So
Wow. And
that's
how
kind of
old
like,
was your daughter when she passed?
she was 3 weeks. She was 3 weeks.
It's a baby.
Yeah, she was a baby, 3 weeks.
Mm.
She passed in her sleep, and she
Mm.
was in the bed with me. So a lot of stuff goes in that when you go through a lot of things in your head. I had a lot of guilt that I held on from that, even though it's not my fault. It's nothing that I did. It's just I was a kid. It took me a couple. I was hiding my pregnancy at the time. It's just a lot of things that go through your mind. So there's a lot of guilt, remorse that I had to work through as someone, and I didn't get help when I was a kid. So you guys, when you have teens that go through traumatic experience, please get them some help. Please get them some type of therapy help, talk to, because no one did that. We were just to deal with it and like move on with life, and that's kind of what it was. And so I went through a very dark space after, until I had my daughter. It was almost 2 years before I had my daughter. So I went through a very dark time, very, very dark time before I ended up having my second daughter, which she changed my life and pulled me kind of out of that dark space. Yeah. And I was like, I could have got pregnant with anyone. At the time I actually was dating someone else who, that I liked a lot. I had
Probably
this huge
surprised that you
connection.
didn't get pregnant by anyone.
Right. Yes. Yes.
It
And
was
then
all for
boom,
a reason.
not that me and my daughter's father were ever meant to stay together, because we weren't. We weren't meant to stay together. It was never going to work with me and him. We were just two very different people. But the blessing of my daughter, that piece of that essence giving back to me, and that's something huge in my heart space that I know to be true. Um, and my dad, I see him all the time. My dad is always around. My dad is always around. I hear him all the time. It's pretty funny sometimes because you literally think you're going crazy, and I know it's him. It's not, me going crazy. Like, I will hear him. I've heard him behind me when I'm live, like telling other people like they're in line. And he'll be like, no, that's my daughter. Like, I'm not in line. I'm not waiting to speak. And it's like funny as hell because I'm sitting here doing my thing and I'm like, why the fuck am I hearing him telling other people like, no, that's my daughter?
I could talk to her whenever I want.
like I'm not in line. Go ahead. It's been like the funniest thing. And I've had moments where I'm crying, like I wish he was here. And I'll hear him say, I am here. And I'm like, but I'm like telling him off, like, it's not the same, but he's always around. He's always around me. There's times where I'm like, man, go help your granddaughter. Like, she needs you. And like, boom, shit just happens for her. And I think
Mm,
my dad in his spirit is doing way more than he ever could do for us
mm,
in life, because in life he was very traumatic and lost, and he had a lot of burdens on him from this life. So in spirit, he's like constantly trying to make shit happen for us on the back ends. And he's like, don't worry. He's like right here. He's always around.
uh-uh.
And even with my brother, I've seen my stuff happen with my brother. And I'm always like, go make sure he's okay. And then my brother's like, oh, this happened and this happened. And I'm like, see, say thank you to dad. you know, you kind of froze. I don't know if you're still froze. Oh,
I,
sending you some love, Debbie.
okay. You broke up a little bit, but now you're back.
Yeah, I don't know if I froze or you froze.
Oh, okay.
Debbie, it's not easy losing your parents. My mom is still alive, but I was a daddy's girl. Even though my dad was very he wasn't nurturing because he didn't know how to be nurturing, but I was still daddy's girl. I was still his princess. And I have this little clear like glass teddy bear that he brought me. He would bring me shit when I was a teen and I would be like, "Why are you bringing me gifts? Like, why are you bringing me little stuffed animals? I'm not a kid anymore." But he would always bring me like stuff like that. And so I knew he loved me, even though he couldn't say it. Like, he couldn't say the words or really show that affection. But I knew deep in my heart that he always loved me. We're going to send you some love, Debbie. All right.
Oh,
So thank you guys for supporting and watching the Thick Goddess Energy Morning Show, brought to you by Divine Moon Goddess Healers and Readings.com, where your questions get answered. You guys remember, for the month of January, all my services are 15% off if you use the code Ascension22 at checkout. So for the month of January only, you can get all of my services for 15% off. All the classes, I went ahead and extended all the deals on all of the classes because they're pre-recorded. So you still have the availability to learn. Just they are in a different place on my website. If you go on the website, go to the shop. And in the shop, you can see all the classes that are there. I will be adding more stuff to the shop, but don't quote me on that because it takes too much time to do it. So don't quote me, okay? So this morning show is brought to you by that. If you're looking to sponsor a morning show and you guys want to sponsor us, information is in the description on where to locate me or where to reach out to me. And of course, if you guys have any stories, anything that you want to tell, you think you know someone who has a story, get in my inbox. I'm looking for real ass situations in life to talk about and bring to the table, because you guys will be amazed at how many people have been through similar experiences and you think you're alone, and you're definitely not alone. And so we do have more amazing guests coming on as well. Raquel, she's going to be joining me. I'm hoping she's going to be joining more often
of
with
course.
me on the morning
It'd be
show.
an honor.
And our new time is 10 a.m., which seems to work out a little bit better for me in the mornings now too. So let's get into the horoscope for today, you guys. Let's see what your energy is like. I'm going to try to do an energy check for all the signs on my YouTube. I did all of the 2022 predictions, so make sure you guys go watch those if you haven't already. Definitely go and support those on the YouTube channel. We'll see if we'll see what your monthly looks like. I hope for some of y'all the monthly looks better because your fucking 2022 ones was pretty shitty.
I haven't seen the one for Aquarius yet. I gotta go check it out.
I don't remember if Aquarius was good or not. I just remember the ones that were really horrible, and some were not
Okay, I'll
so
play
nice.
with you.
You know what? I'm glad that I was able to help you, Debbie, through that because grief was something that I had to really, really work through. Grief was not explained to me. I didn't go through like people really, I mean, people died around me because you live in the hood, people die all the time. That's kind of normal. People get shot, that's it, right? But far as family goes, my first really death was my own child. That was very
Mm,
traumatic. I can't, like, for me, I could say personally, for me, there is no death greater than losing your own child. For me, I can't say that everybody will agree with me, but for me, that is one thing that just is losing that bond. That's hard. That's a very hard thing.
and isn't it a coincidence that say God gave His only child? You know, God gave His only child to save
Right.
us from sin. You know, for His plan.
Great.
It's
Yeah.
that love, that parent child love is strong.
Right. And it's crazy, and the only other, I mean, I've lost a couple friends with suicide, and they were close to me, and I've lost my dad was the other real major loss. My dad was the other major loss that really shook my life because I wasn't ready. No matter how much I thought I was ready, I wasn't ready to say goodbye to him. And I just wanted him to live, and so I could have the dad that I needed and wanted. And it just wasn't in this life. It wasn't going to happen, But I'm thankful that he's still around me in spirit. And I've actually getting into this path. I've actually been able to help take him out of the darkness because he actually was stuck in the darkness for a very long time. He was stuck in his trauma. He was stuck in his pain, and he was stuck in a very, very bad. Like when he first came to me in the beginning, I thought he was a demon. Like that's a whole other
Mm,
story I got to tell you guys. I thought my dad was a demon. He came to me, and I couldn't believe that that was my dad in such negative energy. Like that energy that he was in stopped me in my tracks. And I remember that same type of energy when I was little because I had a lot of like lower level energies that would come around and watch me when I was little, but it actually was my dad. It was him. He was stuck and he was coming to me because I was getting him in dreams also. And in the dream state, he was coming to me, but he wouldn't say anything. He would just look at me and then he would walk away. And I would be like, I see you. Like, where are you going? And it was like he wasn't supposed to be there. Like he was coming to me, like telling me, like, I'm here. But I was just like, what the fuck? And I knew it in my gut. Like, that's what I'm telling you guys. Your gut ain't going to go wrong. Your gut is always going to tell you some shit is up. Something's going on. Okay. And I knew something was wrong with him. I knew something was going on with him. And I just didn't know what. So coming into this path is something that I was able to open up and work and heal and help him shift. And I got to see him in a better light. I got to see him finally connect with the daughter he lost in this life and some of the children that either were miscarried or passed on that were with him. That was pretty awesome.
it's
Yeah.
beautiful.
I'm glad I opened your mind. This is what we're here for, open to expand your consciousness. You got to
Hmm.
expand that consciousness because if you don't, you sit in a very either closed-minded or very dark space. And then just sticking to this reality, like, yes, we're here in this experience, but this is not it. There's so much more to our lives. There's so much more to connecting and being able to connect and allowing yourself to connect and believing our belief system, your belief system can change your world. And it has and even though I'm one of those people that have struggled to get to where I'm at, I still choose to keep going because I can't go back. Can't go back.
The way our mind works is cool. How things click, and it's like we get a download of something and everything just clicks. It's like when you're in that dark place and you got all those fears or whatnot. It's as simple as just flipping on the light switch,
Right.
and then you see there's nothing to be scared of, and there's beautiful things around you.
Right. In one of my lucid dreaming, I had this one where I was in a dark, pure dark, and I had Aries has been in a couple of my dreams. And now me and Aries actually go back to past lives. She's actually a pet. She's actually a wolf that I was connected to in one of my past lives. Like she actually was out in the wild. So me and her actually have past lives together, which is really neat. But she actually was with me in the dream. And I was trying to feel around and I could feel like growling from something that wasn't so nice. Right. And I could feel that it was next to me. And I was just like, no, fuck that. We ain't doing that. I was like, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. I'm not about to be scared. I don't give a shit what you are. I'm just gonna go over here and, and leave you. And I have created a sense of I know that I'm in the dream state. So I don't get scared in my dream state. I know that I'm there. I know that I'm in power. So I'm like, nah, fuck that. Y'all not about to invade my space. Like, no. And you got to, I tell even the kids, because, I work with kids because they have nightmares all the time. And I work with them. I'm like, you're always in power. You have to remember that in that dream state, no matter how real it is, you're always in power. You always can shift it and change it.
And that's kind of how it is in real life too. We're always in
Right.
power, even
Right.
though it looks like the situation coming at us looks real. We're always in power. It just takes tapping in to have a miracle happen.
To understand that, right?
Hmm.
And Jamie, listen to the guidance, and maybe you'll get a guidance. Some people are feeling very lost right now, and I will tell you there's a reason why. A lot of people are feeling lost because it's time to wake up. It's time to wake up from the sleep that you've been in. Some people have been feeling lost their whole life, but if you're feeling lost, it's because your spirit is trying to get you to somewhere else. So you didn't come across this live for no reason. Your spirit is trying to get you somewhere else. Your spirit is hungry. Your spirit needs some more, because what you've been feeding it ain't working, right? And so this is what it is. Now you just got to figure out, well, what the fuck do I need?